Hey everyone, we are going to be doing my long-awaited, or maybe it's not long-awaited for you, but it's definitely long-awaited for me. It is my yearly makeup empties for 2024. If you guys are not familiar, throughout the year I will do regular product empties, beauty speed reviews, what's in my trash kind of videos, but I do like to save all of the makeup items that I have used up in the year for a special video on all of that. So for the last several years, I think maybe like last 2 to 3 years, I have been kind of challenging myself each year to finish up a set number of products of actual like makeup empties, not just like a shampoo or a shaving cream or things like that, but real true makeup items, because you guys know I have a really big makeup collection and I just want to make sure that I'm doing my best at actually use the items that I have. So for the last few years I have been challenging myself to finish up a certain amount of products. This year for 2024 my goal was to use up 24 makeup items. So that was like my main goal, and then like my bonus goal, I think it was like maybe 30 products to use up was the goal. But I'm really excited to see if I hit my goal or not this year. I do have to say, like, I always get a little bit nervous because I try not to like cheat or count them up beforehand and you know, things like that. I just, whatever I used is what I used, and hopefully I hit my goal. I have hit my goal every single year, which is very good. So we will see what I used up this year, and then I'm also going to be telling you guys about what I'm going to be doing next year as far as like my makeup kind of goal for the year. I am going to be switching things up a bit, and it's just been like a well-needed change. So I'm going to actually put that more at the end of the video in case if you guys just like don't want to hear it, or you don't want to hear my philosophy on makeup or anything like that, then you can just like skip all of that. But I'll just get right into what I used up, what I thought about it, what I'd recommend, what I would not recommend, what I'd repurchase, and just any thoughts I have on any of these makeup items. And of course, see if I made my goal this year. All right, so I do have all of my makeup empties here just to give you a really quick little sneak peek. Like I said, I haven't counted these up, so I don't know if I made my goal or not. Looking at it, I feel like I don't know. Sometimes I'm never quite sure whether I made it or not. Okay, so I've got everything quickly sorted out, and we're gonna start off with primers. So for 2024, I actually used up 2 primers. I'm kind of surprised. I feel like I would have used up more. I think maybe I was kind of switching around a lot with different primers that I used, because I do remember using these up kind of earlier in the year. This one is from, I think it's AOA Studios from Shop Miss A, and this one is called the No Pore Face Primer, and it is a little bit of a smaller primer. I remember this one having one of those kind of like silicone-y pore filling type of texture, and I remember these being like very inexpensive. Like I want to say maybe like $1 or $2 for something like this, and of course they are pretty small, but I think that especially if you aren't sure if you're gonna like a product, having a really inexpensive smaller product is a really good way to try it out. And then if you like it, you could always like really stock up on these. Overall, I did like this one for those type of silicone pore filling type of primers. However, I have come to realize that those are not my favorite type of primers in the grand scheme of all the different ones I can get. I mean, there's pore filling, there's moisturizing, there's gripping primers, so there's definitely a lot of different ones to choose from, and I found that just over the years I'm not as big of a fan of the pore filling ones. So although I did like this one, and I would recommend it if you do like those types of primers, I don't think I would be repurchasing this one, just because I am trying to work really hard at starting to kind of weed these out of my collection. So I did like it, and definitely something worth to try out for $1 or $2, but not one I will be repurchasing. All right, the next one I used up is from Hard Candy. This one is the Sheer Envy Blur Primer, Selfie Approved Soft Focus Blur Effect Primer. Goodness, that is a lot of words. This one, I remember I really hated this one. This was one that I was forcing myself to use, and you guys, like, I used it up. Like I cut it open, I got everything out of there. I used this one up, but I hated it so much. It was one of those primers that felt like it was trying to do everything all at once. It was a different texture than the last one, whereas that one had a very like silicone-y gel kind of like feeling. If you know, you know. But this one was kind of like a liquidy version of that, but it also felt very sticky on the skin, but not in like a gripping primer type of way, which I really did not like this one. I just don't really know what this one was trying to achieve, because it just, the texture of it was trying to do all the things all at once, and I just really did not like this one. So I begrudgingly used this one up, but I'm so glad that I did, even though I did not like it and I would obviously not buy this one again. I am very proud of myself for using it up and not letting it go to waste. Even if I don't like a product, I will either like force myself to use it or I will find an alternative use for it. So there really wasn't that much else I could use that one for, so I got through it, but I did not like that one. All right, moving on to the next category, which is foundations. This one, you guys, I really surprised myself with how many foundations I used up this year. Now, some of you might think this isn't very much, but I think this was pretty good. I used up 5 foundations this year. I think that's pretty great. So let me just quickly go through these, tell you what I think. This was the most recent one I used up. I finished it like maybe 2 days ago. And this was such a random foundation I found in my collection. I'm like, why do I have this? Where did I get it? And I think I remember there was one particular day I was out and about and I didn't have makeup on, and then all of a sudden I had plans where I was gonna have to see someone, and I was like, oh my god, I look terrible right now. So I remember I was at the Dollar Tree, I picked up a couple things just to make myself look presentable. And this just happened to be like one of the cheapest foundations I could find. And so this one is from New Color, and they call it the Moisturizing Foundation in the color Light 1. This is like one of those foundations that you would get at like Dollar Tree, and you're just kind of like, please be okay. And I have to say, I was actually very pleasantly surprised by this one. It was a really like dead on color match for me, which number one, that is very rare for me to find. I find that 99% of foundations tend to be very yellow on me, and this was actually like the perfect kind of pinky neutral type of color. So I was so surprised by that. And honestly, the foundation wasn't that bad. I've been using this one for like the last 2 months, and if you thought my foundation looked all right in all the videos, this was pretty much what I was using, and I thought it worked out really, really well. However, I don't think I would purchase this one again, just because I don't even know if I could find this one again. It's like one of those random brands that you see once and you never see again. So I don't know, New Color, it definitely did me good. So I was very surprised on that one. However, I don't think I'd repurchase it, even though it was pretty decent. I would say it was like a light to medium kind of coverage, definitely a little bit more on the light side, but it did the job and definitely surprised me. The next one I used up, this one is a Korean brand, and I bought this one a long time ago, and I bought one of them, I liked it, and then I like stocked up and bought like 4 or 5 of them at a time, and then they've just been sitting in my makeup collection ever since. So this is from Uphu, and this is called the Base Maker. If you guys remember, like when I went through my K-beauty phase, you guys might remember this one. I really like this foundation. These are very small though, and it also does have SPF 37. I feel like that's such a random number, but it is in number 201 Vanilla Beige. Now this one I do feel like was a little bit on the yellowy side for me, but I do remember really liking the formula of this one. I, no joke, probably have like 3 or 4 more tubes of this, so definitely will be using up more of this in the future, but I don't really think I want to repurchase it anymore, also because I don't know if it's still available. But I did use this one up and I did quite like it, and I definitely loved it at one point. So much that I bought so many backups of them, and I remember them to be very inexpensive as well. Like probably under $5 for these. So I don't know if this is still available or not, but I definitely have a bunch in my collection that I am going to force myself to use up eventually. This was another K-beauty brand. This one is Misha, and this one is the Perfection BB Cream. This was another one I got way back in my my K-beauty phase, and this one I actually really liked. It's from the brand Misha, which makes the like iconic red Perfect BB cover, I think that's what that one's called. That one, I love that one, and this was one of their other versions. It was a Perfection one, so it's supposed to like minimize the looks of pores, and this one's also in light beige. I really did like this one. I felt the color of this one matched me really well, but this is one that like, it wasn't anything that was like, okay, I have to get that one again. So I did like this one, but I liked it for what it was, but I wouldn't repurchase it. This is another K-beauty foundation. This one is from Peri Para. I love that brand, and this one is the Airy Ink foundation. I really like this one because it was in a pump bottle, and this one I really liked. There are several other ones from like this line. I really did like this one because I felt like it had a lot of coverage to it for it still being like a really affordable type of foundation. So I did like this one, but once again, at this point, I love trying new foundations so much. I don't think I'll ever just like find one foundation and then never try anything ever again. So I liked this one a lot, and color-wise, I feel like once again, it was a little on the yellow side, but once I applied it to the skin, I felt like it applied really well, and you know, the color is not as noticeable when they are a little on the yellow side. But this was also another really good one that I liked. liked. And if you like something that has a little bit more of like a slightly satiny matter kind of finish, I remember that is what this one was like, and I really enjoyed that. All right, and then the last one I used up, this one I'm pretty sure I got from Big Lots randomly at some point, and this one is the Revlon Photo Ready Candid Glow Foundation. I really like this one. I think I got it for like maybe like $3 or $4, and this one is in the color number 210 Natural Ochre. Now this one definitely was on the yellow side, but there was another foundation that I got from, it was also from the Revlon Photo Ready line, but it was like a different formula, and that one was slightly more on the pinker side, and I would kind of mix the two together, but this one definitely had a little bit of a thinner texture to it and a little bit more of like a glowy serum-y kind of vibe to it. So I definitely really liked this one, but on days that I wanted more coverage, I would either have to mix something in or just kind of use a different formula if I wanted something to really kind of cover up any problem areas or give me a little bit more coverage. This really wasn't the one I would go for, but I did really like this one, especially in the summertime, because it just did really give you that healthy kind of like dewy kind of glow to the skin. So I don't even know if they still make these or not. I'm not up on the drugstore foundations as far as like what's available anymore or what's out. I'm just so not into the drugstore stuff as much, but I did really enjoy this one, and like I said, I got it for super cheap, so I'm always a big fan when I can get something good for a good price. Alright, moving on to the next category, which is concealers. So for concealers, I actually only used up one concealer, which is a little surprising because I feel like I used this up really quickly, but also I think it was another one of those times where I was like bopping back and forth between so many different concealers, like I wasn't really committing to a concealer and focusing on like the goal of using one up. So I definitely found that in the beginning of the year I was really gung-ho on, okay, I'm only using these products, I'm gonna use them up and use them up and use them up, and then like towards the middle of the year I kind of was like using just whatever I felt like, and then towards like the end of the year I'm like, okay, I gotta use it up, make my goal. So this is the Dose of Colors concealer. I remember I got this from like a BoxyCharm sale, I believe, and this one is in the color 09 Light. I remember I liked this one, and it was a good like more heavy coverage concealer, and I felt like the color worked out really well for me as well, so I did like this one. But once again, concealer, same like foundation, I don't really think I'll ever find like the perfect concealer or the perfect foundation and then just never use anything ever again. I'm all about wanting to try new things, and if I find good stuff along the way, that's great, but I never feel like I'm actually going to like chain myself to one single product and then just never try anything else in the world. So this one I definitely really liked. Once again, I don't know if these are still available or not, especially with like BoxyCharm kind of items. A lot of stuff does tend to be like overstock that didn't sell, that they're getting rid of or discontinued, you know, things like that. So once again, I don't know if this is still available, but I did enjoy it and I thought it was pretty good, especially since I did get it on sale from BoxyCharm. So next up, moving on to some liquid bronzer type products. So I used up two products, and the ones that I used were kind of for different reasons. So the first one I used up is the Cover Effects Custom Cover Drops. I remember when these came out, these were like all over the place. They are basically a super highly intense pigmented type of like dropper form product that you could use to either apply on its own as a foundation or mix it in with a serum and make it like a tinted moisturizer, or you could use this to adjust the colors of foundations that weren't the right shade for you. This one is actually a deeper one. The color sticker is not here, so I can't remember what color it was, but I remember this one being a little bit deeper than my skin tone, and I use this one a lot for any foundations I had that are too light for my skin tone. So going back to, if I don't like a product, I'm not going to just throw it away. I'm going to like find a way to use it. So any foundations I had were too light for me, which I don't come across too often, but it did happen. I would use this and adjust the foundation color to fit my skin tone better. So I definitely got a lot more use of this in the summertime when I had a lot of lighter foundations I was trying to use up, because I knew this would be a good product to pair with that. So I did use this up. I'm pretty sure I got this like at a TJ Maxx, like really heavily discounted. I remember these being like super expensive back in the day. So I really enjoyed this product, and it's a nice handy kind of thing to have in your collection for making adjustments to foundations that are not quite your shade. So I definitely love having something like that in my collection, which brings me to the next one that I used up. This one I'm pretty sure has been like discontinued a long time ago, and this was from Ulta Beauty, and this is their Liquid Illuminator Bronze, and this one is in the color Bronze, and this was just like a cream shimmery type of bronzer, liquid bronzer, kind of before like the whole bronzer drop phase. like came out with like the bronzer drops from Drunk Elephant, from e.l.f. I mean, every brand has their own version of this type of product now. This one is really kind of ahead of its time. I remember like going to an Ulta way too many years ago and seeing this like on a clearance shelf, and it came in a set with a highlighter, a blush, and then this, and I was like, it's on clearance for like a few bucks, and I'm like, yeah, I want that. I'll take that. I just can't resist a good deal and a good clearance item. So I ended up getting this, and it was a little bit on the sheer side, which I didn't like because it didn't give me enough like bronzing kind of effect. And I think I was always using this like after my foundation, which I think could have been really cool to use it like before my foundation as like the bronzing drops we use now, but that totally wasn't a thing back then, so I never thought to use it that way. But how I used it up, and this was a godsend because I never would have thought this would have worked as well as it did. Once again, if I had a foundation that was too yellow, I would put a few drops of this in that foundation and mix it up, and because it was like a bronzy or brown color, it would kind of neutralize the foundation a bit. And you wouldn't necessarily think like a liquid bronzer like this would shade match foundations better for me, but it absolutely did. And whenever I actually finished using this up and it was gone, I was genuinely upset that this is long, long gone and doesn't exist anymore. Okay, next up for blushes. I actually used up 2 liquid blushes this year. I was very happy because blush is one of those things that I feel like there's no end to blush. It's like mascaras to me and blushes. It feels like no matter how much I use it, it's just always there and you're never using it up. But I used up 2 Korean liquid blushes this year. So the first one I used up, this is the Etude House Colorful Drawing Watercolor Blusher, and this one's in the color Baby's Breath Pink. This one is like a really liquidy serum kind of blush. So the funny thing about it is that whenever I started using it, it had a very sheer kind of watercolor look on the cheeks, so it was very transparent, just a little whisper of color. And I actually had a problem where like the back of the seal like cracked open and some of the product actually kind of like leaked out in my makeup bag, and I was really upset at that. But the funny thing about it is that I kind of left it for like a couple months just like in my makeup collection, and it was slowly drying out the product. The funny thing is when it dried it out, it turned it from like a liquid to more of a cream, and I actually used it like I would take my little makeup spatula, dig some of it out, apply it to my cheeks, and then blend it in, and it made it a lot more pigmented because a lot of that water had evaporated out of the product. And I actually liked it so much more after it kind of busted open and dried out a little bit, and I was using it up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish that the product was originally this type of formula, more of like a creamy kind of condensed type of texture to it. So I just thought that was a really funny story at like how the product technically kind of like busted open on me, but I actually liked it more once it kind of dried out a bit. I think I have like maybe 3 or 4 more of these in different colors, and I'm kind of like thinking maybe I should kind of like crack them open and let them dry out a little bit, because I definitely like the texture of it a lot more. As is, I wasn't as into it because it was so sheer. You just really didn't get a whole lot of color out of it. But honestly, sometimes happy accidents happen, and I was very surprised at how much I liked that after that. So the next blush I use up, this one is from Uphu, and this one's called the Juicy Pong Water Blusher. So once again, it had that same kind of light, serum-y kind of texture to it, and I liked the packaging, but it was a little different. It kind of looks like a nail polish bottle, which is interesting. But once again, this one I kind of liked a little bit more when it did start to kind of dry out a little bit. I'm trying to see what the color is. I think it's just pink 1. I do believe I got this for PR though, because I did put one of my little PR stickers on here to remind myself that this was a PR product. I think I might have gotten this from YesStyle like years and years ago, so I can't remember, but I did like this one. But once again, not something I think I'd repurchase, especially since there are cream liquid blushes all over the place, and I have a lot in my collection, so I'm definitely going to be trying to use some of those up in the next coming years. Next up, we have highlighters. So for this one, I actually used up 2 highlighters, and both of these are something I used in a very different way. So the first one here I have had for I don't know how long. Like, honestly, embarrassing long. I don't even know if this brand still exists. I know this product probably does not exist, but this is from the brand Algenist, and this is the Concentrated Luminizing Drops, and this is just like in the rose color. Basically, I think I got this on sale like from Sephora like so long ago, I don't even want to say how long, like embarrassing a long time ago, but this is supposed to be like a liquid highlighter type of thing, but I actually found I liked this a lot more mixing it into my foundations. If I had any that were super matte and I wanted to make them a little more glowy, a little more luminous, I would put a little bit of that in there. The only thing is that this, again, it did kind of like dry up over time, so I feel like I didn't get to use all of it 100%, but I definitely used like 85-90% of it before it just kind of dried up enough that it really wasn't a cream anymore. And I remember I hated the packaging of this because like it had a dropper bottle in it from when like dropper bottle packaging was first coming out and like very trendy, but then like companies would put products in a dropper bottle that had no business being in a dropper bottle, like creams or very thick liquids. So the dropper bottle aspect of it actually never worked and it pissed me off to no end, but I would just mix this into foundations to use it up, and I really like the look it gave, but definitely nothing that I'd think even exists anymore. So the next one I used up was really old. This was a ColourPop Super Shock Cheek in the color Smokin' Whistles, and there's nothing really left of this at all. Like I completely used this up. This was one of their like putty, creamy, kind of like textured highlighters, and I loved applying this with my fingers. That was the absolute best way to apply it. I felt like if you tried to use a brush, it wouldn't show up on me, so I just always like to dab my finger into it and I would just dab it onto my cheekbones, and it worked out so well. But oh my gosh, you guys, these lasted so long. This is the kind of thing like you could use every day for a year and barely make a dent in it, so I was so happy when I finally used it up. I actually don't even know if ColourPop still makes these products or not, but I really love the color of it. It was a perfect kind of like pinky champagne color, and I loved how it looked on my skin tone. But once again, I've got so many products, I don't really think I'd repurchase this one. All right, moving on to face powders. So for face powders, I used up one face powder, which I think was pretty good because in the last like probably 7 months, I've really transitioned more to using like loose powders, which I really enjoy, and I haven't been using like a face powder very much, but this is one that I got this one is from Abby's Choice. It's called the Perfect Diary Soft Matte Finishing Powder, and this one actually came in the Card Captor Sakura collection item that I randomly saw one time and purchased, and I just thought it was pretty. I didn't even know like the character. Honestly, I just thought the packaging of it was really pretty, and it came in like a set, and it was just like a pressed face powder. I do feel like this one was a little on the yellow side for me, so I mainly would use this one to, if I was wearing like a really dewy foundation, I wanted to set it a little bit more, make it last a little bit longer, I would just set my whole face with this. But most of the time I use this to set my under eyes and would just kind of like apply it with either a brush or like the little sponges from Flower Nose that I love so much. That's typically how I'd use this, so this one definitely lasts me a long time because of that. But when that like last little rim kind of starts to form when you're really hitting pan, and then it just kind of like breaks and cracks, I did lose a little bit of the product from that, but I definitely put in the work on using this one up. All right, moving on to the next category, which is eyebrow products. So I did use up several eyebrow products. I'm actually kind of surprised. The first one I used up was a Clean Color Precision Brow Pencil. This is one of those like micro brow pencils. Mine was in the color Ash. I remember I really liked this one because the color was really good for me. Right now I'm using an eyebrow pencil that I actually really don't like. I feel like it's too warm for my eyebrow color, but in the spirit of using it up, it's what I've been using for the last several months. But this one actually had a really good like gray toned kind of color for me, and I remember this being like maybe $1 or $2. I remember it being very inexpensive, and I really liked it. The only thing is with these micro brow pencils is that you use them up very quickly if you're filling in your brows, which is how I like to do it. I don't necessarily like to do like the individual brush stroke kind of thing. So if you do like to fill in your brows, these micro brow pencils are not the way to go, especially if you're buying one from a more expensive brand. But I did really like this one. I don't know if these are still available. I feel like a few weeks ago I tried to like look for some Clean Color products online, and I feel like I wasn't able to find it. I don't know if they took their website down or what, but I wasn't able to find it. But I did really like that this one had like the little spoolie on the end. I always love whenever something is kind of like included in the product like that, so I don't have to have a separate item. So I really like this one. I would buy that again if I could find it, but I don't think I can. The next product I used up, I don't even know what this is. I think it's a Korean brand, and I think it was like a refill eyebrow pencil, and I have no clue what it is. I think it could have been like the Etude House Drawing Brow. I think I accidentally bought the refill when I meant to buy like the original one. This one was also a really good color, but I don't know what it is at all, so I wouldn't even be able to find this one again if I tried. But I did like this one as well. It also had the more gray kind of toned taupe color, which I really like. Unfortunately, I don't think I'd be able to rebuy that one if I wanted to. I can't remember what this brand is. Maybelline? I think it's Maybelline. This was such a weird product. It was like the tattoo brow something, but it looked like this. I don't know if they still make this. It had this really weird like spiky brush here that you use to like apply this stuff to. I remember I liked it at first, and it would kind of like, it was like a cream that you could kind of like paint into your brows, and it was supposed to like really last, which I remember it did. And I remember the color being pretty decent as well, but like I said, I don't know if they sell this anymore. But I remember as this started to dry out a bit, it would kind of get a little weird and crumbly, and I didn't love it near the end of its life. And it would just kind of like start pilling up in my eyebrow hairs, and I was like, okay, I think we're gonna have to be done with this one. And then the last eyebrow product I used was technically a lash product, but I didn't like it for that. And this was from Etude House, and this was the My Lash Serum. I actually used this in my eyelashes for a while, and I feel like it made my lashes break off, which is kind of crazy because that's the last thing your eyelash serum should be doing. And I hated it for my eyelashes, but once again, I'm like, okay, let's find a different way to use this. So I actually started using this in my brow hairs. Now, I don't know if it actually like did any difference as far as like making my brow hairs like grow or condition them or anything, but it didn't make my brow hairs worse. So I would just put this on at night before I went to bed just to use it up, and I finally did use it up. I don't think I would purchase this again, and definitely not for my lashes, because I was actually like pretty devastated when I put 2 and 2 together, and I was like, that lash serum is why my lashes look so bad. But I used that one up a long time ago. I think I just used this up like at the very beginning of the year. I think it was one of those ones that I had at the end of the year, and I was like, there is still too much in here to put in my 2023 favorites. So this was when I remember I used up like very early on in 2024. All right, we're getting down to the last few categories. This one is going to be eyeliner. And for eyeliner, I used up only one eyeliner. I'm really surprised because I use liquid black eyeliner like almost every single day I wear makeup. And this one was the NYX Epic Ink Liner in the color black. I remember I absolutely hated this eyeliner because mine came cracked at the tip, and the eyeliner would like bubble out of the tip, and I would be applying eyeliner and not realizing that the little tip was cracked, and I would have black eyeliner smeared all over my face. It would get like on my finger here as well, so I was not a fan of this one. It was horrible. I hated it. I did like that it had a brush tip applicator, but I wish the brush tip came to more of a point. Maybe it was just because I had a defective one, that was why I didn't like it as much, but I don't really have any desire to want to try that one again. And I mean, there's so many black liners, and I actually have found like my all-time favorite one, and I haven't been repurchasing it because I've been trying to use up all these other ones in my collection. But my absolute favorite one of all time is the Misha Natural Fix Brush Pen Liquid Liner. That one lasts me so long and doesn't dry out, has the beautiful brush tip, so I love that one, and I definitely want to go back to that as soon as I use up a lot of the other ones that I have in my collection. I got so close to finishing this video and my battery ran out. Alright, so next up we have mascaras, and I actually used up 2 mascaras. So the first one I used up was probably one of the most like recommended mascaras I have seen for like a really affordable price point, and I have to say I really liked this one. This is the Essence Lash Princess, and this is the green one. This is one that has kind of like a tapered like Christmas tree kind of shape to it, where it's like more pointed and it gradually gets larger at the end. I do have to say though, I wish the brush was a little bit shorter, because for me, I did find that I would poke myself in the eye with this one a lot. So I actually did really like this one, and especially for the price, this is a really great mascara, and I love like a lot of the other ones that I have tried since then. I'm currently using the pink one, and I really like this one. This has more of like that Better Than Sex mascara, where it's like the hourglass shaped one. I actually really like that one a lot. So I think that you can't go wrong with these mascara formulas. They're really, really good, just depending on like the type of brush style that you like. But I did like the green one. I think this is the second one I've used up, but I do think I like the pink one a little bit more. So I don't think I'll get the green one again, but I definitely want to try out a lot more from Essence because they just make great mascaras for like $4 or $5 a piece. There's really no need to get like a high-end mascara because these are really, really good. I do have to say though, I think I like these a lot more when they are brand new and fresh. As they start to dry out, I don't like them as much, but still a really great mascara formula. And the next one I used up was the Ulta Beauty Maximum Lashes. This is a defining and lengthening mascara. This is one I think that came in like one of those little Ulta sets. So it's just kind of like something that came with it. Now this is one of those like plastic bristle brushes, so if you don't like that, you're not gonna like these. It kind of reminds me a lot of like the old school CoverGirl Lash Blast type of brush. It's like those really spiky ones. So it's got like longer ones and shorter ones. I find that these types of brushes are really good for lengthening my lashes, but they don't really give me much volume, which I mean, that is what this one's saying. It's defining and lengthening. It doesn't say volume, but I definitely find those types of brushes give me like longer lashes, but they're really skinny kind of lashes. Overall, I thought this was okay, but not one I would repurchase. All right, and finally for the last category, we have makeup setting sprays. And you guys, I only used one mini setting spray. I have to say, setting spray is one of those things I just forget 99% of the time I'm doing my makeup, and I'm trying to get better at it because I do like setting sprays, especially when I do wear more powder. I feel like it just kind of like makes everything like melt in together a little bit better, but I'm the worst at using them. I forget about them all the time, and I have like several setting sprays in my makeup collection, so that is one thing I really kind of want to prioritize in 2025 is like remembering to use them, because even though I don't remember to use them and I'm not buying them anymore, I still want to get them out of my collection and used up. So I end up using the NYX Matte Finish Spray. I think this was like a little free gift with purchase through one of my orders from Ulta at some point. I like this one. I typically like to go for like a luminizing one though, because I do have dry skin. So I use this one up, but not one I would necessarily repurchase. Alright guys, and those are all the products that I used up. Now let's go ahead and do a quick little tally on how many products I used up, because I have not counted yet, and I'm really kind of anxious to see if I met my goal or not. So let me just go ahead and count these real quick. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. You guys, I missed my goal by one product. I'm kind of let down by that, especially since I have about 2 or 3 makeup items that are just on the verge of being used up, but I couldn't like in good faith count them as being used up because there's still just a little bit of product left in them. I can't believe I was so close to my goal, which was 24 for 2024, and I missed it by one product. I'm a little let down by that, especially since I had met my goal every single year, which was like the main goal. Some of the years I actually went past and made my bonus goal. Man, I am a little bit let down by that, but also still 23 products is still a really, in my opinion, a really respectable amount of products to use up in a year, especially since I wasn't as dedicated as like using up products, you know, kind of towards the middle of the year slump. I kind of was just wanting to try whatever I wanted to try at the moment. So that in and of itself is still really a good accomplishment in my opinion with someone who has a makeup collection as large as I do. I hate whenever things go bad, and I know that's just the nature of my overspending and overbuying, and I want to try to not do that as much in the future, but at the end of the day, I know that I love buying new things, I love reviewing new things, I love trying new things, but I do also want to try to use up things that I have in my collection as well. So with that being said, I want to talk just a little bit briefly about what I'm going to be doing for 2025, because we are going to be shaking things up just a little bit. So like I said, for the last several years, I have been focusing on using up things and trying to not try a lot of different makeup items and just stick to like one foundation, use it up till it's gone, and then pick a new foundation, use it up till it's gone. And while I do really love that type of format for me, and I feel like it's very fulfilling to see that I have used up all these things and I didn't just throw all my money away on all these items, I can see, like, to me it's like seeing a pile of money, and I'm just taking that pile of money and putting it in the trash when I don't like a product, or if I let it go bad, or if I throw it away or give it to someone else. I feel like I just like lit that money on fire. So for me, it is very fulfilling to see that I used up all these items, and that makes me really happy. But the downside to that, especially with someone who does have a large makeup collection like I do, that means that 98% of the year I do not get to play with all the other items that I have in my collection. So I wanted to do something different for 2025 to kind of serve me in a few different ways. So first off, I'm not going to be focusing as much on trying to use up a specific number of items. If I happen to use up items throughout the year, that is great, that is wonderful, and I will absolutely still be really happy with that. I don't see that necessarily being the case though for 2025, because what I'm going to be doing is every week I am going to be shopping my makeup collection and picking one makeup item for all of the categories that I like to do my makeup with, and for that week, those are the only items I am allowed to use. My next rule is that whatever I pick for a particular week, every item in that basket, I have to use every item at least once. And if there's like a liquid eyeshadow in there that I don't end up liking, I don't have to use it all week. I just have to use it once to remind myself of what I think about all these products. And also with doing this, it's going to, like I said, serve me in two different ways. Number one, it's letting me get to re-explore and replay with the things I have already spent my money on, that I already have, that are just sitting there collecting dust and not getting used and drying up, on and on and on. It's gonna let me get to try a lot more things on a weekly basis and just remind myself what I think about some of these items. There are so many things that I buy, I do a haul, I play with it once, and then it never gets touched again, and I hate that. I really want to engage with my makeup collection again, and I thought that this would be a really great way to do that, because I'll get to try a lot of new things in my collection that I already have, and it will also kind of psychologically trick me into feeling like I'm getting something new every week, which is kind of where my shopping habit tends to come in, with that getting the new shiny sparkly thing that you want and having that serotonin boost, and then once it's gone, you know, it's just another thing sitting on the shelf. So I'm really going to be focusing on shopping my stash all of 2025, and the exciting part about that is that every week is going to be something new, and I will have something to play with and look forward to. And I got so excited about this idea. I came up with it around maybe the beginning of November, and I was so excited that I already picked out my first month of weekly items already, and they've just been sitting right over here for like the last like 2 months, just sitting there, and I'm thinking like, oh, I can't wait to use what I picked out. Oh, I can't wait to use this. I can't wait to use that. I can't wait to try something different, because I do get into these ruts whenever I'm focused so much on using a single product up. I don't get to use like 98% of the rest of my makeup collection. So I just thought this would be a fun twist for this year, especially since I have been doing the heavy using up products mindset for the last like 3 or 4 years. So I think this is going to be a really fun thing. I might even do like a monthly roundup video showing you like, okay, here was week 1, here was week 2, here was week 3, here was week 4. Here's all the products I used for those weeks. Here's what I liked, here's what I didn't like. And so my thought process is that after I use all of the makeup items for week 1, all of those items are going to get put in a different area of my collection, and I'm not allowed to reuse any of those items until I cycle completely through a specific category. So something like eyeshadow palettes, I am not going to be able to completely cycle through, because I have a million eyeshadow palettes. So I'm truly only going to get to use 52 different eyeshadow palettes in the year. And believe me, I have way more than that. So something like eyeshadow palettes, I'm not going to be able to cycle through, unfortunately. Lipsticks is probably not something I'll be able to cycle through. Lip glosses is probably not something I'll be able to cycle through, but something like eyebrow pencils, concealers, face powders, eyeliners, things like that, that I don't necessarily have as many of in my collection, after I've used up every liquid liner I have in my collection, I will be able to recycle the things that have already been used, and then I can kind of start the cycle over. I hope this was making sense to you guys, but this is just something like an idea that seems like so duh, so obvious, so like I'm not reinventing the wheel or anything, but I'm so excited to do that, and I feel like that's what makeup is all about, is the excitement of it, the joy of it, the playfulness of it, the creativity of it. And I feel like even though focusing on trying to use up things is a really wonderful goal as well, for me it was very limiting for the last few years, and I'm just really excited to play again. And I feel like I haven't gotten to play in a while, so this is kind of like my experimental year for seeing what do I like, and maybe even work in some decluttering content. So in the end, I'm really excited on this new kind of journey I'm going to be doing with my makeup, shopping my stash, and I'm hoping that will kind of curb some of my tendencies to want to get new things all the time. And of course, I am never going to be a minimalist by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm also not a person who can like really do like a strict no buy kind of thing. Honestly, when I tell myself no, I can't have that, it really just makes me want things even more. So honestly, it's just kind of like knowing yourself and knowing your boundaries. And I know that I'm never going to be someone who is like, I'm never buying another piece of makeup until everything's used up. I just know myself, and I know that's not realistic for me, but I do want to be more mindful of the purchases that I make. And I'm not doing a no buy for 2025, but I am going to try to be doing a low buy. So for me, I have to figure out what those stipulations are going to be and where I feel comfortable. But I know that I do have a couple things that I'm going to make exceptions for. Flower nose collections, those are definitely going to be an exception for me, especially since they do have a new collection coming out very soon. And I know that the She Glam releases, I really enjoy doing those two brands. I love reviewing their products, and those are really fun for me, and a lot of people like watching those, so I'm not going to stop doing those. But just on the little random purchases here and there that I do, I'm going to really try to curb that a bit. And I really think that by having something new every week through my makeup collection, it's going to kind of satisfy that craving. And one big change that I made for 2025, and this one really kind of like was a little bit sad for me, but I think that this is a really good step in the right direction for me, and I have canceled all of my subscriptions, my beauty subscriptions, my lifestyle subscriptions, FabFitFun, Allure Beauty Box, BoxyCharm. I mean, I've canceled all of them, and I'm not going to be doing any subscription boxes for 2025, which is a little bit sad because I really like the surprise and the treat every month of getting a box of new things, and it's always exciting. But I found that those are such a big contributor for me of over consumption of products that maybe I don't necessarily want or wouldn't necessarily pick out or purchase myself. I especially feel that is true in like the skincare realm, and I just need to take a full year off, and they're gonna be there when I come back in 2026, and I will reevaluate then if I want to continue with subscription boxes or not, because they are a lot of fun for me. They really are, and I like doing the videos. But I have gotten a lot of makeup through subscription boxes over the years, and a lot of them are things that I never touch again, or never used at all, or gave away, or whatever it may be. I just want like everything that I bring in to be something I really want, and not have so many mediocre products. So those are really all of the main changes I'm going to be making for 2025. I definitely urge you guys to do the same thing if you are also in a similar situation, whether you have a large collection or not, but you just find yourself either shopping a lot for new things just because you want something new, or whatever it may be. You know, if you guys want to do it as well, I would love if you guys kind of chimed in the comments below. Let me know what kind of changes are you going to be making for 2025. I just want to start a conversation because I know that these days social media is one of those things that is so easy to influence you to buy the new bright shiny object that you don't really want, other than like the serotonin boost. And honestly, I have found that over the years that boost does not last very long at all, and I want to just try to not bring in as much and just really enjoy the things that I have. So that is what I'm looking forward to for 2025. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful or entertaining, and that is pretty much all I have to say. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on social media. Links are below, and until my next video, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.